Hi, my friends. Welcome back to English Adventure, where the language meets real life. I'm Adam, and whether you're tuning in again or this is your very first episode, I'm so glad you're here. Let me ask you something right up front. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a conversation, suddenly feeling like your brain hit pause? Maybe your thoughts were perfectly clear in your head, but the second you tried to speak, nothing came out. Or you replayed one sentence over and over wondering, is this correct? Will I sound silly? If you've ever felt that way, you're definitely not alone. Today we're going to talk about how to break free from that overthinking and finally speak English naturally, confidently, and without second guessing every word. Before we jump in, take just a second to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode that can help you unlock your voice in English. And if you know someone who's been stuck in their head, share this with them. Let's grow together. This episode is called Speak English Without Overthinking. And no, I'm not suggesting you switch off your brain or say random things without any meaning. Instead, I'm inviting you to discover a new way to approach conversations, one where you stop micromanaging every sentence and start trusting yourself to communicate. Here's the truth. Overthinking is the silent killer of fluency. If you've ever frozen mid-sentence because you weren't sure about your grammar, spent 5 minutes in your head translating a simple idea, or talked yourself out of saying anything at all, then this episode is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. Together, we'll explore why overthinking happens in the first place, how it holds you back from sounding natural, the mindset shifts that free you from perfectionism, and practical exercises you can start using right away. So grab your coffee, get comfy, or put on your walking shoes. Let's dive into the real reasons your brain gets in the way when you speak English. All right, let's get real. Why is it that you can read and understand English pretty well, but the second you need to say something out loud, you freeze? It's not because you're not smart enough. And it's not because you haven't studied enough grammar books. It's because your brain is trying to do too many things at once. When you speak, your mind juggles translating from your native language, remembering grammar rules, worrying about pronunciation, and wondering if you sound good enough. It's like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle while running a marathon. It's too much. And when your brain gets overloaded, it shuts down. I call this the mind freeze moment, and it usually goes like this. You want to say, yesterday, I went for a walk in the park. But in your head, you start questioning everything. Why does it go or went? Do I need to? Should I say to the park or in the park? What if I mess this up? By the time you're ready to speak, the moment has passed, or worse, you say nothing at all. Sound familiar? Overthinking doesn't just slow you down. It also makes your English sound mechanical and unnatural. Have you ever heard someone speak like this? I am going to the store tomorrow. It's perfectly correct, but it doesn't sound confident. It sounds rehearsed. That's what happens when you filter every word through a mental checklist. But here's the irony. Native speakers don't do this. They make mistakes too. They use filler words, change their minds mid-sentence, and sometimes forget vocabulary. And you know what? Nobody cares. The real magic happens when you let go of the need to be perfect and focus on expressing yourself even imperfectly. I'll tell you a quick story. When I first started learning Spanish, I spent months memorizing conjugation tables. I knew all the rules. But when I visited Spain, I couldn't order lunch without panicking. I'd rehearse my sentence in my head. Hola, quiero una ensalada, por favor. But then I'd think, should I use quisiera? Is ensalada feminine? Is my accent terrible? By the time the waiter looked at me, I'd forget everything and just point at the menu. It was humbling, but it taught me a priceless lesson. Fluency comes from using the language, not just studying it. Here's the first big mindset shift I want you to embrace. Fluency isn't about flawless grammar. It's about connection. When you let go of the idea that you have to speak perfectly, you make space to speak bravely. Think about how children learn language. They don't think, was that the past perfect? They just try. They make mistakes. They keep going. And that's why they improve so fast. If you take only one idea from this episode, let it be this. You don't become fluent and then start speaking. You start speaking, and that's how you become fluent. Let's break down the 3 most common traps that keep learners stuck, often for years without realizing it. Trap 1, translating in your head. This is probably the most common habit and the hardest to break. Instead of thinking in English directly, you create the sentence first in your native language. You piece it together exactly how you'd say it at home, then you try to translate word by word into English. But here's the problem. Languages don't work like math equations. The order of words, the little connectors, the natural expressions, they're all different. For example, maybe you think in your language, yesterday, with my friend to the movies I went. Then you try to translate every word in the same order, and you end up saying, yesterday with my friend to the movies I went, which sounds awkward and confusing to a native speaker. Or you pause over every little word. Did I say to or at? Should I say movies or cinema? This slows you down so much that the other person doesn't even know what you're trying to say. Over time, this habit steals your confidence and makes you afraid to open your mouth. But here's the good news. You can train your brain to think in English with consistent practice. Even simple sentences like, I'm going to work now, help you build that direct connection in your mind. Trap 2, grammar paralysis. This one happens when you become obsessed with saying every single thing perfectly. You might be in a casual chat, but in your head, you're running a grammar exam. You start asking yourself, should I use have been or had been? Is this conditional right? Wait, is it since or for? Meanwhile, the person you're talking to is waiting for your response, and the silence grows longer and more uncomfortable. I've seen this happen in situations as simple as ordering a coffee. Someone wants to say, I've been here before, but their brain is screaming, wait, is this present perfect? Is here correct? Should I say I came here before? By the time they decide, the opportunity is gone. This constant grammar checking is exhausting. And ironically, it makes you sound less fluent, not more. Remember, even native speakers break grammar rules in conversation. Spoken language is messy, flexible, and forgiving. When you give yourself permission to be imperfect, you start to speak more smoothly and confidently. Trap 3, fear of judgment. This is the emotional trap that holds so many learners hostage. You start thinking, what if they laugh at my accent? What if I say something wrong and look stupid? What if they don't understand me? those thoughts feel so real and heavy that you begin to shrink. You lower your voice, speak too slowly, or avoid speaking altogether. And here's something important to know, that fear creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you worry about being judged, the more you hesitate. The more you hesitate, the less confident you sound. And then yes, people might have trouble understanding you, not because your English is bad, but because you're whispering or stopping mid-sentence. If you've ever been in a meeting or a group discussion and thought, I know the answer, but I'd rather stay quiet, you've experienced this trap. But the truth is, most people are not judging you nearly as harshly as you think. They're often impressed you're communicating in a second language at all. And here's a little secret. Your accent is not a weakness. It's proof that you're brave enough to learn something new. If you recognize yourself in any of these traps translating everything, obsessing over grammar, or fearing judgment, don't beat yourself up. You are absolutely not alone. This is something almost every learner goes through. Awareness is the first step to change. When you can see the trap clearly, you can start choosing a different path. All right, let's shift gears and talk about how to break free and finally speak English with confidence and ease. Here are some powerful, proven strategies you can start using today to stop overthinking and start communicating naturally. These are simple, practical, and you don't need any special equipment, just your voice and a little bit of courage. Strategy 1, the 1-minute freestyle. This is one of my personal favorites because it's so simple, yet so effective. Here's how it works. Pick any topic, literally anything that comes to mind. It could be your weekend plans, your favorite food, your dream vacation, or even how you feel today. Set a timer for 1 minute and speak out loud about that topic without stopping, no matter what. If you get stuck, repeat the last word or say, and keep going. The goal isn't to be perfect or even coherent. It's to train your brain to keep producing English without hitting the brakes. Here's an example. I love pizza because it's delicious and you can have many toppings. My favorite is pepperoni, but sometimes I also like vegetables. Yesterday I had pizza with my friends and we watched a movie. Even if you repeat ideas or feel silly, you're building the habit of fluency. Remember, the key rule is no translating, no correcting yourself, no pausing to look up words. Just let the words flow. Strategy 2, think in English. Most learners only practice English when they're in class or studying. But your brain gets stronger when you train it daily, even during simple moments. Practice narrating your day in English in your head or out loud if you're alone. For example, I am making breakfast. Now I'm going to work. The weather's warm today. I feel tired but excited. You don't need to form perfect sentences. You're simply building mental fluency and teaching your brain to switch into English mode automatically. Try this every morning for a week. You'll be surprised how quickly it becomes natural. Strategy 3, shadowing. Shadowing is a technique used by interpreters and advanced language learners, but anyone can benefit from it. Choose any audio maybe, a YouTube video, a podcast episode like this one, or even a movie clip. Play a sentence, pause, and immediately repeat it out loud, copying the speaker's tone, rhythm, and speed as closely as you can. At first, you might feel awkward or slow, but over time, you'll start to sound more natural and confident. Here's a quick tip. Pick content you enjoy so it doesn't feel like homework. If you love cooking shows or travel vlogs, start there. Shadowing is one of the fastest ways to improve pronunciation, intonation, and speaking speed all at once. Strategy 4, use filler phrases. A lot of learners feel they have to answer instantly, but native speakers use filler words all the time to buy time to think. When you need a moment to find your words, use simple phrases like, let me see. What I'm trying to say is, well, it's kind of like. These fillers give your brain a second to catch up without creating an awkward silence. They also make you sound more natural because fluent speakers don't rush every sentence either. Strategy 5. Describe around missing words. This is a skill that really shows you're becoming fluent. If you forget a word, don't panic or freeze. Instead, explain it in another way. For example, if you forget the word can opener, you might say, it's the thing you use to open cans. Or if you can't remember headphones, you could say, they are small speakers you put on your ears to listen to music. This is real communication. Native speakers do it all the time, and it keeps the conversation moving forward. Learning to describe around gaps is like having a safety net no matter what. You can still express your idea. Ready for a little challenge? Let's put this into practice right now. I'm going to give you a topic, and I want you to speak out loud for 1 full minute. It doesn't matter if it feels messy or imperfect. Just keep going. Your topic is a place I love to visit. Pause this episode if you need time. Take a deep breath and start speaking. Remember, no filters, no translating, no worrying about grammar. Just say whatever comes to mind. If you actually did that, congratulations, you're already ahead of most learners. You're building fluency where it really counts, in real life, under real pressure. This exercise might feel uncomfortable the first few times, but the more you practice, the easier and more natural it becomes. Each time you challenge yourself to speak freely, you're training your brain to focus on communication instead of perfection. So, keep going. Make these strategies part of your daily routine, and you'll be amazed how quickly your confidence grows. Let's do a quick recap. Overthinking is normal, but it's not helpful. Fluency is about communicating, not perfection. The more you practice without filters, the more confident you become. Daily speaking even imperfector wires your brain for natural conversation. Next time you feel your brain freezing, remember, connection matters more than correctness. If you enjoyed this episode and you're ready to keep growing, here's what to do next. Subscribe to English Adventure so you never miss an episode. Share this podcast with a friend who wants to speak confidently too. Leave a quick review to help us reach more learners around the world. Finally, take 1 minute today to speak out loud about anything. Just 1 minute. You'll be amazed how quickly that small habit builds your fluency muscle. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and remember, your voice matters. You can do this, and I'm here to cheer you on every step of the way. I'm Adam, and this is English Adventure. See you next time.